All right. Let me get this piece of news out to the masses here. It's a physical copy versus digital copy conversation. Oh, by the way, hello viewers. Another beautiful day. Yep. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good. Or excellent. Alright. Now, listen to this. Buying digital games mean you're just purchasing a license. California will force storefronts to admit to combat disappearing games and deceptive terms. Yeah. Physical versus digital. The saga continue. Which brings up the Nintendo situation. I tried to tell people months ago, even years now, that the Switch should have never been built. Remember, see, people when they talk about the Wii U, they try to use these fancy words, and they never answer the problem. They never answer the question. With the Wii U situation, it was a cartridge versus CD issue. It had nothing to do with branding, sales, or marketing. All that stuff is a lie. Okay? With the Wii U situation, you had a handheld, motion controller, console, docking station, and the Wii U Pro controller. You had an all-in-one console, right? And they were detachable. With the 3DS, you just said you had a cartridge system. The Wii U uses CD. The 3DS uses cartridge, right? Okay. And then there's the virtual console. So the virtual console is like your bookstore, your library, your archive, your museum, your bunker, your cave for your video games, right? So the biggest problem with the Wii U was never sales. The biggest problem with the Wii U was the 3DS. You need to get that out the way so you can focus on the Wii U and then focus on the virtual console. So what Nintendo should be doing was taking all the games from the 3DS, the DS, all the Game Boy lines, the NES, Super Nintendo, 64, GameCube, Wii, and even the Switch. Take all those games and put them in the virtual console, right? So you can play them on the Wii U. Like I said, I'm going to say this to you again. The biggest problem with the Wii U was never sales. Anybody who tells you that, these people don't understand video games at all. They're just talking just to be talking. Nintendo created a cartridge versus CD problem and tried to hide it, but then I exposed it. So all you had to do was remove the 3DS out the way, focus on the Wii U and the virtual console, right? The good thing about the Wii U, everything is detachable, so you can build the Wii U tablet as powerful as the Steam Deck. You can build a console as powerful as a Steam Deck. Everything was right there for them to use. Then you can increase the CD space and increase the storage space. Everything was right there for them to use. They choose to go against it. So when they built the Switch, they are limited in what they can do. They don't have the features that the Wii U have. So in other words, they went backwards. So they went backwards now to get games on a cartridge, so to speak. And we already know that CD holds more data than cartridges. Everybody should know this. But now, when they went back to cartridge now, they're getting codes in a box when they buy their games. There's a YouTuber that did a video about code in a box on YouTube, and he was trying to explain why is Nintendo fans getting code in a box when they buy games. And this now goes back to the virtual console. If that's the case that they're getting code in a box, then the Switch should have never been built. All those games that the Switch is getting, it was really for the Wii U virtual console. So now we're in 2024 here. And now storefronts are forced to admit that when you're buying digital games, you're buying a license. Yeah, listen to this. Says here, buying digital games mean you're just purchasing a license. California will force storefronts to admit to combat disappearing games and deceptive terms. Says here, California will soon require storefronts to make clear that purchasing digital content, including games, movies, and music, does not mean you actually own it. the saga continues. It says here, as of next year, California customers will be informed that buying a game on Steam, for example, means they are simply requiring a license for the content. Terms such as buy and purchase will be banned from the sale process unless sufficient caveats are added. It says the legislation, the AB 2426, signed into law by California Governor Gavin Newsom and first reported by The Verge, is designed to make consumers more aware of the sometimes temporary nature of digital ownership. Kind of like what happened with Ubisoft and The Crew. Anyway, not every digital game will fall under the AB 2426. However, as GameFile points out, if a game has the option to be downloaded and played permanently offline, the above caveat will not be needed. So too for games offered as a part of subscription service, to which access is presumed temporarily anyway, as well as games sold or given away for free. It says, over the past few months, Ubisoft sparked headlines after it switched off its racer, The Crew, and subsequently removed it from players' account. We've also seen the swift deletion of Concord by PlayStation following the fail of that game. Oh, by the way, that game needs to be on the PlayStation 4 and probably PlayStation 3. But anyway, though refunds were provided, so they can save some, so they can recoup some of the money. Anyway, and it says, though refunds were provided, provided, and while free to play, EA announced last night it was switching off its veteran mobile hit The Simpsons Tapped Out. After 12 years of people playing and paying into the app, as retailers continues to pivot away from selling physical media, the need for consumer protection on the purchase of digital media has become increasingly more important, said California Assembly member Jackie Irvin. He says, I thank the governor for signing the AB 2426, ensuring the false and deceptive advertising from sellers of digital media, incorrectly telling consumers they own their purchase, becoming a thing of the past. And it says, it remains to be seen how Storefront will adapt to the new law coming into force, and whether we might see those changes reflect more widely outside of California. So if it starts on the West Coast, if it starts in California, then just like the pandemic, it's going to spread out. The law that's passed, okay? It's going to affect every state. So the physical versus digital copy saga continues. Yeah. And when you buy a digital game, what it says here, California will soon acquire storefronts to make clear that purchasing digital content, including games, movies, and music, does not mean you actually own it. Well, there's a lot of things that need to be fixed with the game industry anyway. If a game is, for instance, if a game is going live service, and the developer decide this, let's take Anthem, the Avengers, Concord. By the way, Concord need to be on the PS4, not just PS5, because the PS4 got a bigger user base. Concord, Anthem, who else? The Avengers, right? If those games are going to be pulled off live service, then there needs to be an offline play mode, and offline play so you can play local multiplayer offline and regular offline play by yourself. That features need to be in those games if those games are going to be pulled offline. Okay. And the same goes for the crew. The crew needs an offline play mode in it, so it can be because people spend their money on it, so they can play it offline with no internet connection. It would be like playing Forza Horizon 2 on the Xbox 360. Purchasing a digital game, and you should be able to own that copy. You should be able to own it, or because you spend your hard-earned money for it. So if you purchase a digital game, you never said you were renting it in the first place. You purchase it with your own money, knowing that you own the actual digital copy. You should be able to play it whenever you feel. This is what I like about the PS4 too, especially PlayStation, PS3, PS4. When you buy a digital game, you can play those games offline. So that's how digital games need to be. So to come now and say now, when you buy a digital game, it doesn't mean that you don't. It means that you doesn't own it. To me, that's like it's like they're trying to cover their tracks, and now they're being forced to tell the truth now. So it's like whatever you do in the dark comes to the light. But anyway, when you purchase a digital game, man, you should be able to own it. To play offline by yourself, in story mode, offline against the computer, or offline with some friends, with some people that you know. So you should be able to you should be able to own that physical copy, man. And now they're trying to change the rules now, and they're talking about it comes with a caveat. There should be no caveat. Buying a digital game should be the same as buying a physical game. Okay, if you buy the digital game, that means you own the digital copy. That means you should be able to play the digital copy offline by yourself, offline against the computer, and offline with the people that you know. It's the same as buying a physical game. So to change the rule now is like seems like the developers are trying to protect themselves, from harm, so to speak. Yeah. Like when I was and then to see, like, especially with Nintendo now, when the Switch users when they buy games now, they're getting a code in a box. The developer didn't tell them that they were getting a digital. The developer didn't tell the Switch users that they were getting a actual. That they weren't getting an actual physical copy. They told them that the game is coming, but then the developers now, they put the code in the box, and now all you get is an empty case with a piece of paper and some codes. That's called manipulation. So the developers they need to tell the players, the gamers, the players, that when they buy that this game is going to be a digital copy. It's going to be a digital copy, and it's going to come with a code in the box, versus like just saying, oh, it's coming to the Switch, and then they don't tell you that it's a digital code to the game that's coming. You go buy the game, and then all of a sudden you open it up, and then you have a code in the box. So this falls on the developers. They need to do a better explanation of things. And when games go live service, and you decide to pull the game offline, now it goes back to the developers now to fix the offline features, like offline play single player, offline play in story mode, and then offline against a computer, and then local and then offline multiplayer co-op. So yeah, they need to fix that. So this falls back on the developer. And for those, like I saw the video. I forgot the YouTuber's name, but he was talking about the code in the box situation, and this all ties into this situation now, because the developer, the Gavin Newsom now, is what he did was try to expose the developer of their deceptive practices that they're doing. So and now now they're trying to they have to tell the truth now. So if EA or anybody decide to pull a game offline, or any studio, they have to put the offline feature, all those downloadable DLCs, all those downloadable content, DLCs and expansion. They have to be in the actual game, so people can get all those features, so they can play them offline before they before they shut the game down. So yeah, this falls back on the developer. It really do. It really falls back on them, And Valve with Steam now, they're gonna have to do some they're gonna have to tell all their users now, whether from the Windows side or Linux side or even Mac or whoever, about the new rules now when buying digital games. If we buy games from Steam, like, do we actually own it? Do we actually own the physical game? Are we renting this, or are we really paying for the actual physical game so we can play the game offline? And then, like, if a developer decides to shut the game off or whatever, shut the server down or whatever, do we still own the game? So Valve is gonna have to do some explanation on that. So yeah, and so does Epic, and so does GOG, and so does Fanatical, and so does Humble, Games Planet, Green Man Gaming, Game Billet. Yeah, they got to do all that, So yeah, so does Ubisoft, So does Ubisoft. So does EA. Okay, let's take the Division from Ubisoft. If they decide to pull that game offline, can the players play that game offline by themselves, or can they do play against? Offline by themselves mean that they get to play against a computer, and can they play offline against the friends that they know? Yeah, in a system link or local co-op. So yeah. So these developers and these storefronts now, Gavin Newsom really started a fire now. So it's going to be interesting to see the response from this. But anyway, but that's just my thoughts on the whole thing. Nintendo Nintendo had the Wii U and tried to fool the public. They really tried. And even had YouTubers who really tried to fool the public, but they weren't fooling me when it came to the Wii U situation. They had a cartridge versus CD problem, and they were really trying to serve two formats at the same time. Two different platforms, two different formats at the same time, and one was CD, one was cartridge. But then now you have the virtual console to deal with. So the answer to that problem, now was to remove the 3DS out the way and focus on the Wii U and just a virtual console, and that was it. And all those games from the Game Boy line to all the Nintendo consoles were supposed to be in the Wii U, in the virtual console, so you can play them on the Wii U. And all those games need updates. The same thing could go for Microsoft, with their console ban. Microsoft was sitting there charging people, for offline play, for off and online play at the same time, and then they got the nerve to try to give you an offline feature, right? It's telling you that you can play offline, but you were but you were never offline. You were still online playing. So you couldn't use the physical disc offline. And on top of that, now you put the console ban with that situation now. So now it makes the Xbox One a disposable console. So and they were doing this since like the very beginning of the Xbox One, all the way up to the Activision court case. So when I came at them, I said, you were charging people for off and online play, and the Xbox One is a disposable console. All of a sudden now people can play their physical disc offline. That was because of me, because I came at them. Then on top of that too, when they banned you and your console is disposable, they wanted you to repurchase every single game that you purchased. And I called them out on it. And they made the switch. So now people can play their Xbox One games offline. This all ties in with all this. Physical versus digital and ownership of games. So the saga continue with this, man. And yeah. You know, and then on top of that with Microsoft now, you know, when they made the Xbox One disposable now, what they do now is that they shut off the Blu-ray drive on to try to so-called save themselves. They shut off the Blu-ray drive on the console, and now they want you to buy your game physically. So now they don't give you access to the drive to play your games offline. Yeah, Xbox. So yeah, I had to call them out on it. But yeah, but this goes back to now. This all ties in with this whole all this ties into the whole physical versus digital and ownership of consoles. You know, yeah. Then on top of that too, now the Xbox One now, the One X. If you go into the Amazon store, you see the Xbox One X selling for $200 and so like that. The one question you got to ask yourself now: does this Xbox One has a HDMI problem? Because the Xbox One X has a HDMI problem that they're dealing with, and they refuse to address it. Yeah, the One X, the HDMI problem, the HDMI port, it's no good. You know, you might be sitting there playing your console, and all of a sudden it goes out. The picture just goes out. The Xbox One is running, but you have no picture. So yeah, this all ties in with all this, man. So yeah, this situation, gamers, you know, gamers should have a right to own their physical and digital copies when they purchase them. You know, especially when you install the game on the drive. You know, you know, look. Here's another situation with the Xbox One, with Xbox 2. When you were buying the digital games, the full game was never being installed on the console, whether it was a 360 or the Xbox One. The full game was being installed. It was the demo. For instance, like let's say you play what's a game I could use? Let's say Fatal Fury Special. I use that. Let's say you go buy Fatal Fury Special from the Xbox store, and then you decide to play the game offline. They give you access to 2 characters. The rest of the characters are just blank. Just saying. So when you purchase a digital game, man, you should have the right to own it. You should have the right to own it. You didn't rent it. You paid for the digital game, so you can own it on the console. So if you have the physical copy, if you don't have the physical copy, you know, you have the game digital. You can play any day, any time of the day, or any day of the month you want. So yeah, you should be able to own that copy, man. But now to come out now and say, oh well, when you what he says, California's Storefront, to make clear that purchasing digital content, including games, movies, and music, does not mean you actually own it. Oh yeah, gamers will have something to say about that. Anyway, I'm going to leave this video for y'all to enjoy though. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek thing. Board, Dark Side. Go on. Peace.